This is GARIS, Masculist MGTOW flyers, that is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 377, entitled Masculist Glossary, Part 3. Description. This flyer is the third Masculist Glossary, consisting of terms taken from the latest 200 Masculist flyers. The flyer itself. Masculist Glossary, Part 3, by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. I'm a veritable mint when it comes to coining masculist terms to label new masculist concepts. The last time I made a Masculist MGTOW glossary was some 200 flyers back. So nearly 200 masculist flyers later, it's time to collate all the new masculist terms coined over the past 200 flyers into a new glossary for easier access to them. This Masculist glossary thus contains those new masculist terms coined after Masculist flyer 196. The terms are listed in alphabetical order, with each term given a somewhat succinct definition. Terms that are used in a definition that are defined elsewhere are written in capitals. So here's the glossary. 3-4 relationships. This type of relationship is a variant of the tway-twef relationship, where the couple is together for 3 days/nights of the week and apart in their separate apartments for the other 4 days/nights. This lifestyle forces a hunger and a civility upon the relationship. The sex is good, regular and reliable due to the hunger generated by the 4-day gap, and is civil because the relationship is kept fresh also by the 4-day gap. Bi-conscious feminist liberation. Feminists who become bi-conscious liberate themselves in the sense of being more able to get a boyfriend due to losing their monoconscious feminazi bitchiness due to their feminist anger at men being cancelled by their masculist anger at women. Bi-conscious feminists are much nicer to men, so are much more approachable by men, unlike monoconscious feminazis who are hated and totally ignored by men. Bi-conscious relationships. A relationship in which both partners, male and female, are bi-conscious. So in practice, gender politics tends not to play a role in the couple, so the relationship is much calmer, nicer, more agreeable. The man is not manslay because the woman is a fip, who does not nag since she knows that her man is a masculist as part of his bi-consciousness, who will not tolerate female nagging. The relationship is much more civil because gender issues do not arise, because both partners are past them. They are both bi-conscious. Bitch slapping. A slapping across the face by a man against a, in brackets, feminazi bitch, delivered with full male force, causing excruciating pain to the victim. As masculist hatred against the feminazis, especially against what the fluffy feminists are doing to men in the divorce courts, grows and grows, masculist bitch slapping of MFBs, that's monoconscious feminazi bigots, may become routine. boy faring, the equivalent of men faring, but for boys, to remove the gender injustices committed against boys, especially in primary schools, where the vast majority of primary school teachers are female, and usually monoconscious feminists as well, who brainwash little boys that women are the superior sex and deprive little boys of male role models. Masculists want positive discrimination to be implemented in paying male primary school teachers higher salaries to encourage more men to be primary school teachers, to teach masculist ideas to boys, giving them pride in being male, the genetically superior sex. Cock shrinker, a pejorative term used by the masculists to label women who are so fat and obese that seeing them naked would cause a man's initial erection to shrink away totally. This term is similar to fuff and yucker. See later. Compulsory calculus. In the old Soviet Union, 11th and 12th year students of both sexes took compulsory calculus. Masculists want the same today, so that young women will not be excluded from studying STEM, that's science, tech, engineering, math, majors at college, because they studied fluffy crap at high school, so are forced to study more fluffy crap at college, resulting in them becoming fluffy crapper parasites as adults, expecting to parasite off the money of a man, sexploiting a gullible manslave, living off his labour and his money. Masculists tell young women, no calculus, no baby. That is, if she's not a FIP as an adult, she won't get a baby. As masculism spreads throughout the culture, no man will be willing to be manslaved by a hated, fluffy parasite. Cuckoo mother, a woman who commits paternity fraud, that is, where the husband is not the father. She, like the cuckoo, places a foreign egg into her womb, an egg not fertilized by the husband. This is a gender crime on a massive scale, lasting decades. Deadbeat mom, a mother who did not bother to get a career-competent education, hence is poor, often stupid, who did not take care with contraception, who became a mom, and then expects some gullible manslave to pay for her to have her kid. A deadbeat mom is a fluffy mother. Defemming the workplace. Masculists don't tolerate feminazi bitchery in the workplace, so will vote with their feet in moving their desks, their offices, to free themselves from that bitchery, and if necessary, quit their companies to escape it. They will harangue their company bosses to stop feminazi harassment, or they will explode. Feminazi bitchery has the potential to destroy companies, as masculists wage gender political war inside them, destroying them. Men can be MGTOWs or even MGTOW monks at home, but are still forced to work with women in the workplace, which can be oppressive for men. So masculism is needed to silence these feminazi bitches, or companies will be destroyed by internal feminist, masculist company wars. Divorce rape. When a fluffy takes her husband to the divorce court, forcing him to lose custody of his kids with 90% probability, losing his house to her so she can raise her kids in it, losing half his stuff to her, paying child payments to kids he will barely see, and often alimony for life, so she remains a parasite of his money both before and after the divorce. Divorce rape is the primary cause of the MGTOW and masculist movements and will lead to a sex war if it is not stopped. No society can divorce rape a quarter of its fathers, destroying their lives, and remain intact. There will be a sex war in which masculist soldiers will go into the streets and shoot the hated gender politicians, the divorce court lawyers and judges, and the fluffy feminist hypocrites. Feminal. A female criminal, that is, committing gender crimes against men. Feminazi genociders, Masculists see fluffy feminist hypocrites as indirect genociders because they've taken over the divorce courts and made them so toxic for divorcing fathers that in many advanced countries now 2/3 of young men refuse to marry, reject paternity and choose to live the MGTOW lifestyle. Thus, these hated monoconscious fluffy feminazi hypocrites are indirect genociders, wiping out whole populations, so have to be stopped, with bullets if necessary, in a sex war until the gender laws are men-fared. FFF, a fat for feminazi, or a triple F, that is fat or obese, a 4 out of 10 in looks, and a feminazi, that is the really obnoxious, repulsive type of feminist that every man despises. Triple Fs are the first category female to be rejected by masculists, forced to rot on a shelf, not even pumped and dumped. Fluffy sexploitation. The use of sex by fluffies to bribe men to pay for women to have babies. Women evolved to be prostitutes to men, to be better able to sexploit men, to give women scarce male-hunted meat, since women were stuck at home looking after helpless infants, so could not hunt. Their very survival depended on them being able to persuade men to give them meat. Those women who are less sexy risk starvation by being less able to bribe men with sex. The human female evolved to be the sexiest of mammals, being in sexual heat every day of the month, being able to cunt a man at will, unlike monkeys or dogs. FUF, fuff, a fat, unfuckable feminazi, or a fat, unfuckable female. This term is the English language equivalent of the commonly used French term gros imbasable, that is, fat unfuckable. It's used by masculists towards those women who don't bother to make an effort to remain slim, curvy and sexually desirable to men. Those women who really let themselves go are punished by masculists by being totally ignored, not even being pumped and dumped. Gender anger reversal. The 2020s is the decade of the masculists, who are reversing the gender political anger, since women oppress men far worse than vice versa. Men have much higher testosterone levels than women, so can get much angrier. Once most men become conscious of how fluffies oppress men with their man-slavery, they will become explosively angry and reverse the direction of gender political anger from feminist to masculist. Gender crimes. Crimes committed by one gender against the other. For example, women who divorce rape their husbands, committing paternity fraud, that is, the husband is not the father. Pill lying, that is, lying about taking the pill, forcing the father into an unwanted paternity, paying for the kid for decades, manslaving him, etc. Gender segregation. The separation of the two sexes in the workplace so that men don't have to put up with the misandrous attitudes of feminazi work colleagues. Genetically superior sex. Masculists counter the preaching of the feminazis, in brackets, who claim that women are the morally, intellectually superior sex, by presenting the scientific evidence that men outperform women in almost everything. The most damning fact that masculists present are men winning 99% of the science Nobel Prizes, that men have 10% larger brains than women, etc. This is the end of part 1.